Hey everybody, welcome to Woodworking Wisdom. This idea is something that I've had for quite a while. I've seen these hairpin legs advertised on the internet, social media and that sort of thing, and I wanted to do something with them. And I've got several sizes. This is a really short coffee table leg, so I thought, right, okay. There's a coffee table that I want to make out of scaffold boards, which we've got a good source of scaffold boards now. They're really gnarly and sort of old and worn. So the discards from the lads on the Scaffold company. So we're gonna have a look to do one of these. There's a few things we have to do first, so we're going to put those to one side for the moment. And most scaffold boards are going to have this little tie at the end. Now, I've taken these off of all of these boards. I didn't want to waste time on that. It's a little bit of a push and a pull and a red face sort of moment. So that's all gone now. So they're in the bin and out the way. My first job, though, is cleaning them up a little bit. What I don't want to do is surface plane these. I want to have a little bit of the roughness left, the real sort of authenticity there. So, but I want to clean the dirt off. So what we'll do is we'll wire brush them in a minute, and then I'm going to sand them. I won't actually cut them to length yet. I'll leave some of the edges ready to be cut once we've glued it all together. But what I will do is surface plane or joint the edges. So once I've taken all the dirt off, made sure there's no nails or anything like that in, we're then going to get the surface planer out. Surface plane, we'll biscuit joint these together, but we'll then also just sand them back so we can see the texture in them. So that's the first job. So let's have a look then and see how we do it. Okay, so first job, we want to cut them to a rough length, not their final length. We'll do that once we've glued the boards together. But to start with, just to rough length. Now, these are going to be 3'6", and I'm going to have 3 boards together. So it's going to be not quite a square table, but it's going to be getting close to it. So 3'6" is around about 42 inches, so around about 107. So I'm actually there about 43 inches, so 109. So that's a rough cut. So I've scribed one line there. I'm going to do the same to these 2 boards. Then we're going to take you over to the bandsaw and cut to that rough size. So again, look, I'm just roughly marking these out. Then we'll get the square on. This is not fine furniture making by any means. Sort of furniture making I enjoy. There we are. Now over to the bandsaw and we'll cut those ends off. Okay, so everything's cut to a rough size now. But this is where we have to be really, really careful, because in a minute I'm going to get to edge these so I can join them together. But look, I mean, we're going to wire brush them, but look at this sort of thing. Probably a bit of paper was stapled onto it or something at some point, but even bits of grit that might be embedded in here. We've got to make sure all that's gone. So I'm going to wire brush it first, then we're going to put a belt sander on it, and then the random orbital, just to clean them up as much as we can, get all this sort of thing gone, and then we can get the machine out. Okay, so look, what we've done so far, we've literally just taken the skim off the top. So roughly sanded. It was a 60 grit belt on the belt sander. All I need to do now in preparation for joining is just put this over the jointer. So I've got my jointer behind me. I'm just going to do these joining edges. I'm not going to worry about this. I'm going to keep that fairly gnarly. It's just going to be roughly sanded at the end. So we're just planing up. I've just marked where I'm going to join. So I want to keep these surfaces up because all of them are very slightly cupped, all of these boards. So I want to make sure that I can get the best surface on the thicknesser, sorry, on the edger, and for jointing really. I want this cupping. This is real texture. I really like all this sort of unevenness, and I don't want the that broken when I join them together. I don't want a completely flat edge. So it's got to do its job, but I still want some of that gnarliness left. So let's get to the jointer. Okay, so we have all the edges edged, so they're joined nicely together. We're going to use size 20 biscuit, so a good size, fairly big size biscuit. And I've got my good old reliable biscuit jointer here. I've already set this in position, so, and I've drawn my lines as well, my joining lines here. So we're going to obviously do one board at a time, get the biscuit jointer going, and then we can start adding in a little bit of glue and getting this this top jointed up. Okay, so we have all the jointing done. It's all glued together. This is 24 hours since gluing. So taking the clamps off now, all I want to do really is, we're going to trim first. So I'm going to trim each end to make sure they're nice and square and matching together. Then we're going to sand, and I'm going to sand including the edges as well. There's not too much to do. So I'm going to use a random orbital sander on this. I don't want to take the colour back too much more either. And I think if I use the belt sander, it might come back a bit too much. I want this sort of old looking. This is the back. So I'm going to start with the back, get that where I want it to be, and then concentrate all my efforts then on the top really, because then I'll go for a few other grades of abrasive. On the back here, I'm just going to go fairly coarse and just get the glue off and everything. So trim next. I'm going to go with a little guide rail. And I've got a little cordless Bosch drill here, so I'm going to set this up, and then we're just going to trim the edges nice and clean. Okay, so we've got to the point of sanding now. So we've gone down, I've only gone down to 120 grit. So what I plan to do is we're going to apply the finish. And on this one, I'm just literally slapping on. It's almost like I want it to be like a wet finish. So I'm allowing the finish to soak in, the nap will rise up. And then when that's dry, I'm going to just take that back with a very light sanding over. And then I'm going to probably look to use a fine roller to put the top finish on. But I want this finish to go into all those little areas and nooks and crannies and cracks that you get naturally from these rough boards. I'm using the Osmo top oil. I've used this before on coffee tables, and it's a really hard wearing finish. And this particular one's a satin, clear satin, and it looks really, really nice. It's not too glossy, but then again, it's not too flat, it's not too matte either. It's a really nice finish, easy to wipe over, and really puts up with stains. It takes around about sort of 12 to 15 hours to dry this first coat, so I'll leave this overnight, come back, sand it back again, and put the final coat on with a nice roller. So I'm just going to pour a little bit on to start with. I'm not using anything fancy, a cheap brush, just to rub it on. You can use a roller if you want to roll this stuff on. It does make application much quicker. But let's just get a little glug on there, slap it around a little bit. Now this is the underside, this is the back. So again, I'm not being precious with this. I have air dusted it off after vacuuming, I'm just going to do this, and then we're going to put it on some little paint pyramids, so I can do the top at the same time. So I'm not waiting for one side to dry before I might have to do the other. So slapping this on, that's fine, don't care, just get it into all the little holes. It's quite a satisfying part of the job, this one. Okay, so we've turned it over. I've got paint pyramids underneath. Paint pyramids are really great little gadgets. They're literally the plastic pyramids, and it just the bearing surface is such a little point that they make very little indentations in the finish that you've got. So I've got a wet finish on the underside, and now that elevates it off the table, so I can then do the outside edge and the top. So and I can leave it there to dry with as well. So it's a really useful way of working. So same process. Pour a little bit on the top. That amount was just right, so we're going to do a similar thing. Always add a little bit more. This time I'm going to do the outside edge, so I'm going to do that first. End grain's going to take in a huge amount of the finish, bear that in mind. So okay, so what we've got now, this is all dried, so the glue's dried, it's all jointed together. We've got one coat of the Osmo top oil on it. Now, when I put this on, it was satin. It's dried nicely now, and I've just denibbed it. I rubbed it back again. I think what I'm going to do on the top, I've changed my mind slightly. I have sort of changed my viewpoint to thinking actually a flat finish might be good. So I'm going to go and get some matte finish. And do that right at the last minute. So today, really, the next job is to put the feet on. So this is the underside. So this has had a single coat. I've rubbed it back. I'm only going to do one coat on this top to the underside, and then I'll put the feet on, put it in situ, and then put my last matte finish on the top with the Osmo top oil. So look, I'm going to keep this fairly simple. These are the legs. So this is from the Hairpin Company, and I found these guys are really good. They do legs of all sizes, all types of finish, and other things as well as legs, of course. They do finish furniture. But these are really good. These are quite short ones, really perfect for this coffee table. They've got this lovely right angle, really secure feet as well when they're put on there. So look, all I'm doing is using my roofer's square, and I'm just going to line that up in the corner. I've already looked to make sure that the foot is within the footprint of the tabletop itself, so it's not splaying out. The other good thing that you get from these people as well is these little feet. So these feet in turn will then go on just to protect your floor or your carpet when it's actually on a wooden floor, for instance. So that's quite cool. I like that idea. So all I'm going to do, look, is I've made sure this is at nice right angles. We're just going to put a little mark, and I'm going to drill these screws. I'm using the screws that come with the feet. They're actually a little domed head, nice secure screw, so a little domed head, no need for washers or anything like that. And then I want to just put a little bradawl mark in there before I screw this in. There we go. There and there. So let's grab my drill, and I'm going to use a fairly small screw. I'm going down to around about 2 mil on the drill size. So there we are. Okay, so I'm just using a small 2 mil drill bit. This is only a pilot hole. I'm not going the whole depth of the screw. I just want to get it started. There we are. Okay, so get the screw started. Now, I can't get a driver in there, so I'm going to use my reliable. Get them started. There we are. Now I'm going to get a little stubby, finish those off, go all the way around the table, get the feet put on, and then we should be able to turn it up and put it on the floor. Okay, so that's the last foot on. I've just used, like I said earlier, I've just used this this roofer's square just to position those feet, and it's worked really, really well. It's not a high precision piece of furniture. This is a really nice rustic coffee table. I love the way these feet look against the scaffold boards. Good recycling or upcycling of some boards here, but the sort of industrial look of these hairpin legs is really, really ace. I love it. So let's have a look, see what it looks like when it's stood up. I like the look of that one. I think that's going to be really cool once we get that last finish on. I hope you've enjoyed what you've seen, and don't forget, if you like what you see, give us a thumbs up. Don't forget to share us around. Subscribe to the channel, hit the notifications button as well, so whenever we get another video going out, you get notified of it. I've really enjoyed this project. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.